Well, you know what time it is.
All right, everybody. Welcome to our Saturday or Sunday live stream at 1 p.m. We are getting started here. It's good to have everybody in here. I gave it a little bit of time ahead of time. Bill, good to have you in here. Aim High, my channel producer, is here as well. All mods, please check in. Just double checking a few things for you guys here. Setting up some stuff that'll be going on later today. Jay, good to have you in the chat. So, to bring you guys up to speed on what's going on, here's what we've got. As you guys know, today we're going to be changing the oil in our Supercharger and our Audi. This is a really important oil change. We have to do this one. We can't skip this. This is all part of that service that needs to be done at about 80,000 miles. So that's what we're going to be working on today as far as the project. New stuff. We've got a lot of new stuff coming up at the end of the project. You guys are going to want to stick around to the end. I've got some news about California. I've got some news about the federal government. I've got some news about a lot of the stuff in the automotive world. We're actually going to go on to dealership websites and break down the information that we see. So this process is going to allow me to show you guys exactly what's going on. And I did get the connection set. So now you guys are able to see the news as I'm showing it to you. I've also added sound effects, so I will be keeping the news a lot more entertaining than I have in the past. So you guys can definitely count on that. So before we transition in, I want to say thank you guys, everyone who has subscribed and hit the like button. It has really helped to build the channel. So thank you all for your support. And before I get too much farther into the weeds here, see if I can locate. Okay, so usually I have a way of monitoring as I go here, so I'm going to set this up quick, guys. All right, awesome. 13 of you guys in here, 2 likes, guys, hit that like button. We are trying to build the channel. We are trying to bring you guys merch here in the future. You guys can interact in the chat. This will be either this week or next week is going to be the last week that I'm going to read all chats. After this, I'm going to go to reading only mod or super chat. And the reason I got to do this is to help build the channel. Meaning that if you guys have a question, you can chat it in via super chat. I'll read your question if you're not a mod. If you're a mod, I'll automatically read yours. So that is something going on for the future. Probably next week or the week after is when we're going to do that. And the reason we're doing it this way is just to kind of help keeping everything moving. I don't like to have to stop just for one single chat. My mods are out there, so if they think it's an important one, they can highlight it, and then I'll read it off of what they had highlighted. So I will leave that open to my mods to be able to do that stuff. But awesome. Good to see 13 of you guys in here already today. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. So, all right, now that I've got everything rolling, make sure that things are looking good. All right, there. Oh yes, and if you are a member, guys, please consider joining the membership where we have several different packages and we have several different options for you guys. As more people file into that members only area, we will start doing special lives for you guys. We'll be doing special things, discount on merch once that store is set up. I do have to reach a certain number of subscribers before I'm going to build a store. So we are going to be looking into that in the future here, near future. So guys, make sure that you guys engage, be part of the members if that's something that you would like. But yes, members will get their chats read, mods will get their chats read, and then anyone who super chats. But that is something that I'm going to be rolling out with probably either next week or the week after. And the only reason for doing that is to help keep everything moving as we start the project. I don't like stopping mid-project to read one chat that could be leading us off topic. So I do want to try to keep the projects moving smoother. So that way, when I do a big, heavy project, which we may have one coming up next week, guys, I'll spoil that one at the end of this video. But that will be a big, heavy project that's coming. It's going to require a lot of work being done in a very short period of time, meaning I'm not going to have a bunch of time to do a bunch of extra things. I will have to focus on each topic that I'm trying to cover and move forward. So that's how we're looking to structure going forward. Whenever there's a transition, guys, you're going to hear this sound. So this is our transition. Usually when we transition out of our intro into our project, you will hear that sound, and out of our project into the news. So as we're ready to move on with after all these announcements, let's go ahead. All right, today's project is changing the oil in our supercharger. I went and got the actual oil from Audi. Here to find out, if you peel this label off though, this isn't from Audi, it's from someone else. But if they put their label on it, that makes it theirs. Meaning that if you have problems with it, guess what? You get to go back to them and complain about it. But I verified that it was the right stuff through 2 or 3 different sources, one of them actually being Audi themselves. So I verified that this is the right oil. What we're also going to do with this project here is we're going to attempt to do this project without disconnecting the coolant. You might ask, why would I not want to disconnect the coolant lines? On this car, this 3.0T motor, if you open the coolant in any way, shape, or form, if you crack the lines, you have to go through a bleed out procedure, meaning you have to bleed out all the air. If you don't get it out, you can create a hot spot in the block, and it can either wreck a head gasket or take out a sensor. It's important to make sure that you do these processes right. So make sure if you're going to tackle this job, you figure out a way to do it to where you're not causing damage to the engine later on by something you did. That's the whole reason we do these. So that I can show you guys where the mistakes can happen, where they've happened for me, and how this all works out. Lawless, good to see you. I have not seen you in a long time. Yeah, Jay, if you didn't catch my opening, you're going to want to stick around for the news. There's been some big developments in the automotive industry in California. All right. Cool. All right, so when we're doing this project, what we're going to do is take out the used bad oil. Now, this oil is probably going to look kind of brownish, blackish in color because it's been in there for 80,000 miles. This is the reason it needs to come out. 80,000 to about 90 is when you need to do that supercharger oil change. There is no filter, so we don't have to filter it. Paula says, been busy at work. Just got done loading a wagon of hay. Nice. So when we pull that oil out and we go to put the fresh stuff in, the fresh stuff actually looks gold in color. So when we swap this out, we're going to notice that it's going to look a lot different than what we take out. And that's just because the oil is now used. It has to come out. That being said, how do we get it out of there? Audis have a little trick to them. They have a hole that is capped off with an Allen key. So, an Allen key. We will stick the Allen key in there. We will place a wrench on the end of it, like so. And we will turn the Allen key to crack that bleeder screw loose. One other tool you're going to want to have on hand is a magnet. If you drop that plug, and most of the time you will need the magnet to pick it up because it falls down in between the water pump. There's also something else we can do by putting paper towel below there. So if the oil plug does fall, it falls into that ray, meaning it's easier to pick it up with the magnet and not have it fall down in between the water pump and the block. We don't want that because it could be a pain to get it back out. So we're going to be a little bit preemptive with that. The other thing we're going to need, all jokes aside, guys, we're going to need a pump for this one because we can't get in there to drain this. When we pull that plug, it doesn't drain out when we pull the plug. The plug only gives us access, and we don't fill it back to the plug. We only fill what we take out. That's it. Whatever we get out of here, we mark it with tape, and we refill it to that same amount. That's how you can do this process without doing damage to the supercharger. If you overfill it, you can damage the supercharger. You'll put too much load on the bearings within the supercharger. It'll wreck the bearings, possibly damage the gears. It only takes a certain amount of oil, usually about 4 to 5 ounces. That's not a lot of oil. So we're going to go ahead and now pull our drain plug and get started on this process. I'll bring you guys in so you guys can see what we're doing, and then we'll get everything rocking and rolling. All right, I brought you guys closer to the project. If there's something you guys want to see, chat it in down below. I'll try to cover it. This is our cover. There's 2 tabs here and 2 little ball sockets here. The ball sockets are here, and where it clips in is here. So it'll sit right here like so. All I need to do is pull this up. Now don't just grab it from the front, guys. Here's a really good tip for you guys. If you grab it from this front part and you pull up, what's going to happen is you're going to break this across the back. You actually need to use a flat screwdriver and pop the back part out, pop these sockets out first, this ball and socket. So you'll pop the little ball out on both sides. Then once this is up, then you can lift this up and not worry about breaking this cover. Some people choose not to put the covers back on because they like to work on these things and do different things. There is a massive power upgrade for these cars. And all you need to do is change this pulley, change the belt, and program it. You don't need to change injectors. You don't need to change a cam. You don't need to do anything but change the size of this pulley, the belt, and tune the computer. That's it. You'll go from 300 some horsepower over 400 just by changing this pulley. This one could be one of these pulleys. Some of these have a belt, some of these are pressed on. If it's pressed on, that's a little bit bigger issue. Then you have to actually heat up the new pulley, smaller one. You have to heat it up, slide it on while it's warm. That way it has a tight fit. And if you don't get this in the right spot, the belt won't ride where it needs to, and it could fall off as well. So if you're going to think about doing that upgrade, definitely try to plan it out a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to go in here, right here, and we're going to pull our drain plug. But I would like to get something in there to keep that plug from falling before I get too carried away. Because as you see, I can't really get my hand in there to that plug. So we're going to try to stick a paper towel in there. Just going to use one of my blue shop towels, guys. And the goal of this is to catch that plug when it falls. Okay. So take our wrench on our Allen key. We're going to pop it loose. Okay. And with the hoses in the way, this gets a little bit more challenging to get this drain plug. And you only get about a half a turn out of it each time. Okay, so it came out right on the tool. This is the way we want to do it. So what we're going to look for is if there's any metal shavings or metal debris. This is why we have to do this oil change. Is over time, these gears rubbing together will actually put a little bit of metal debris in that oil. Okay, got a little bit there on the paper towel that I'm a little concerned with. We will see what it looks like once we get the oil drained. So next, we're going to use pump. Trick is to get the hose to go down into the belly of that supercharger so we can drain the oil. That's what I'm trying to do now, is wrestle that hose down in there. So what you got to contend with is the gear on the supercharger. That's where the issue is trying to get this hose to go down in there. Because the hose wants to sandwich against the gear, and you got to get the hose to go around that gear, go down into the belly area. So the hose is now sandwiched down in there. We can try pulling a little bit, see if we get. We're not in there where we need to be. Okay guys, this is the trick to changing this oil in here. I'm not saying that this trick is going to work. I did do some homework on it, but it doesn't look like we're able to get down to the reservoir. The only other way to change this oil is to completely pull this supercharger off. And this is not a procedure that most people like doing. I'm going to find a spot where it catches the oil. Okay, so I had it down in the oil, guys. I had some on my hand here. It's been down in there. It won't let this hose go into the reservoir. I'm going to guess that the hose is either kinking, because there is some small kink marks in this hose, or it's not reaching the right angle. We're going to take one more stab at this before I say whether or not this process will work. And this may or may not work for you. If you have one of these motors, this might not be a good trick for you guys. This might not work. But what this does save you is from having to pull this supercharger to do this oil change. That saves you from having to take all the coolant lines off, completely disassembling this supercharger and the whole top end of this engine. The other way that they recommend doing this oil change, you would pull everything off the top of this engine. So this trick, if able to work, would save you from having to pull the whole top end of the motor apart, but I'm not seeing a very good process to do that. All right, we got 30 of you guys in here and only 2 likes. Everybody get me up to 50% engagement, please. This helps us to build the channel. This helps us to do tricks like this, showing you guys the way to service your vehicles. And all we ask is that you guys hit that like button. That helps with the engagement, helps us to get out there. If you guys like this content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Yeah, we're not able to pull it out. So this trick does not work. We can now safely say, I tried this a few different times. We are getting down into the oil. I do have oil residue on here. Not enough to put oil back into this though. The oil does look good. So I am going to tell my customer that the oil looks good, that they can run this up to 100,000 without having to pull this apart. But at that point, they are going to have to pull it and put fresh fluid in. Now, the reason I bought that pump is twofold. Not only would it work here, but I could use it on power steering pumps, I could use it on brake reservoirs, and I could use that to drain the tanks down without having any issue when it comes to actually trying to clean those reservoirs out, and I can get fresh fluid in if I need to do a bleed. So now comes the hard part, is getting this plug in here and getting it started without dropping it. This is where a lot of people online had problems. What I might do is I might cheat. Okay, what you guys are seeing me do right here is an old school trick. It's where we use a little bit of tape to tighten up the socket point. Okay, so we just got a question from Dave. He asks, is the 3.0 Supercharged better than the 2.4 V8? Here's what I'm going to say to you. When it comes to Audis and maintenance, the issue is always what it takes to maintain. On the V8, as long as it's not supercharged or turboed, you have less maintenance. The fact that this has a 4.2 would have less maintenance on the V8 than what it would on the 3.0 Supercharged. But here's the other factor though. If you're buying these because you like the performance of them and you want over 400 horsepower by changing a pulley and tuning the computer, then the 3.0 Supercharged is the way to go. Again, more maintenance. So you have to ask yourself the level of maintenance that you feel comfortable with. If you don't feel comfortable spending maintenance money to maintain certain functions, such as the functions of the supercharger, then you can get away with just going with, if you want easy, easy would be the V8. Because without the power adders, the V8 has less maintenance. Spark plugs, coolant, things like that. That's the most that you're going to have on those setups. On this setup, you're going to have this oil change that we're doing right now. This was the hard part. This is why they probably pulled that coolant hose so that they could reach in here to put this drain plug back in. But if we don't have to pull this drain plug, this would be a better way to go. So great question, Dave. The answer that I could give you that's the best is ask yourself what level of maintenance are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with having to pull your supercharger off every 80,000 miles to do that oil change? Or are you more comfortable just changing spark plugs and giving it a basic tune-up that you would do on any vehicle? So I tried the tape trick. I just have to run the risk here, guys. I'm not dropping this plug. So I need it to wiggle on the torque. Or in this case, it would be the Allen key. So I need that little bit of wiggle. I'll give you a close-up, guys, here once I get this plug set. I like to get this set in here so I know where it is. I'll bring you guys in for a closer view. So what I'm wrestling with, guys, is to get the drain plug to start threading. This is why they pulled that coolant line, to give themselves access to the threads and to put this plug in. So Dave asked, do I feel any pressure doing stuff live? And my answer to you is no, I don't. The reason I don't feel the added pressure of doing this stuff live for you guys is I've worked on so many cars in the past that I'm very comfortable working on this stuff, that I don't get too flustered by it. Where I have problems is when I'm starting to have technical issues with the computers. That's where it gets frustrating for me. All right, we've tried all the tricks. I'm going to pull this coolant hose, which means I may have to go through a coolant bleed procedure, but I'm going to try a trick. Sometimes if you don't pull your radiator cap, you don't have to worry about bleeding the system out because this cap keeps pressure. The only spot where you're going to have a little bit of leaking is right through where you remove your hose. This is where we're going to remove the hose. I'm going to bring you guys in so you get a close-up of what I'm talking about here. All right, so right through here. It's really hard to see. I could probably put a flashlight on it for you guys. Let's see if I can set you right there. That hole that you guys see right there, basically it's right there. That hole is where we got to put this drain plug after we've pulled the oil. Now the pump that I put in there was not able to pull the oil out. I was not able to get in there cleanly to where I could get down to where the oil was to get a good suction on the oil. If I can't suck the old stuff out, what happens is you have to pull this supercharger off the front of the engine. You could either pull it off the front or you pull the whole thing. I believe you have to pull this whole supercharger in order to take the front piece off. So this isn't just a matter of unbolting the front housing and sliding everything out. You can't do it that way. You actually have to unbolt everything along the sides and unhook all of your intake tubes on the back and all those sensors. Pull all of your stuff off the front along with your coolant lines just to gain access. Now the frustration, like I said here, is that I'm trying to get this plug in there and I don't want to cross thread this. So I might be forced to pull that hose to give me access. So I'm going to move you guys back now. Trying to get you guys set back up here. Okay. So yeah, I can't put it on a magnet and put the magnet in there. The magnet hits that hose. So everything that we're doing is just getting in the way, and I'm gonna have to pull that hose. I'm gonna use a needle nose to get in here and get this clip and this hose. Okay, so I'm gonna lift this up. There is some coolant that was running out of there. So by lifting this up, I can kind of alleviate any coolant coming out of this. And I have to keep this above the reservoir. So what I'm gonna do is see if I can hook it in through some spots here. Okay, so that's not gonna leak. This one's gonna keep leaking here though, so I do wanna cap that. I think I have some rubber caps. It's gonna keep leaking. Okay, not able to find my rubber caps right now, so what I'm gonna do, put a paper towel down below. Stop bleeding. Okay. Hopefully we don't gotta leave it open too long and I can just get in there and change this up. Put this back in place. Okay, thread it in. So I'll bring you guys in quick to see this. Okay, So you guys can see the drain plug is in there. You guys see where the coolant line is disconnected. It's not bleeding out of that coolant line and it's holding coolant there. That's a good thing. That means the system is staying sealed and we're not losing a bunch of coolant. We don't want to drain this system down. I will have to check the coolant level once we're done and make sure that it's full cold. But we can go ahead and now tighten that up and we should be good to go there. All right, guys, we got 24 of you in here and only 6 likes. Guys, get me up to at least 12 likes. Trying to build the channel this year, bring you guys merch. We're doing a bunch of different things for you guys. So all we ask is that you guys hit the like button and subscribe. Interact with us here on the channel. Guys, my mods and my producers are here in the chat. They will let us know when there's questions, and we will answer them. Just tightening up this drain plug, like so. Okay, that's tightened. Now we can get our hose put back on. Okay. All right. Drain plug's back in. Drain plug's back in. Hose is reconnected. We can re-wipe some of our things to make sure we don't have any coolant on anything. And I do got to give the customer the bad news that we could not do the trick on this one. So we could not take the shortcut. This is why we do some of these things for you guys, so that you guys can see, like, you guys now know that if you have one of these motors, or if you guys are thinking about buying one of these, you guys already know that this shortcut trick may not work for you. And the reason it's not working is when we go down to the back to try to get to the base of the oil, we're not able to suck the oil out. If we had a pump that didn't have a short range on it, or something like an electrical pump, we might be able to really force it out and pull all that oil out. That is a much bigger process to do. Requires a lot more specialty tools, but honestly, at this point, you're almost looking at having to pull the supercharger anyway, because there is some gaskets that you do gotta do about 100,000 miles. So that's why I'm gonna recommend that this service, we wait until the 100,000, we just re-gasket the whole top end of this on the supercharger. That is a much bigger process. The customer does need the vehicle, so we're not going to go after it. The good news is I was able to verify the condition of the oil. That's not something you can do unless you can open the case and look at the oil. Because we were able to at least open it and look at it, we know that the oil was good based on what I pulled up out of there that was on the hose for the pump. We saw that the oil was still good, clean, and it looked like that oil, meaning we can run this longer without doing this oil change. I don't want to super extend this because after a certain amount of time, that oil does go bad. So I will be informing the customer and contacting them on that after I finish up what I got to do to this. But we are now ready to button this up. Starts by lining up plates. So I push my front in first. Front goes in first. Then I want to make sure that these are lined up to pop in, just like that. So down, 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 done. One last thing we got to do, because we took that coolant line off, we have to verify the coolant level. And this will be a good time for me to talk about this coolant, guys. This is a special coolant just because it's an Audi. Yep, so we're just a hair low. And I don't like giving it back to the customer like that, so we will get that topped off for them. And I knew I lost some based on what was in the rags. There was a little bit that probably ran down the block as well. All right, so let's talk about coolant here for just a second, guys. We need to talk about this because this is important. If your vehicle is designed for a certain coolant, don't just put any old coolant in it. You can actually wreck the engine, the head gaskets, and other seals, including water pump seals, by putting the wrong coolant in it. When they manufacture these engines, they base it on the coolants and on the oils that they're going to run. Meaning that that engine is designed, this will get into our news a little bit here in just a bit, guys. Our news section, I will be talking about some of these recalls and how they're changing the fluids, which is ultimately going to have an impact on the engine. You guys are going to need to know this because what they're doing is they're extending your ability to get that engine serviced because they're pushing the wear and damage off until it's past the warranty level. So I'll cover that in just a bit, guys. But what you need to know is make sure you find the right coolant for your vehicle. Just because you think there's green in it or whatever the case might be, always go with what is recommended from the manufacturer. This company is really good about making coolant across all makes and all models. Do not use their all make and all model coolant though. Only get their brand specific. They'll say on the bottle what they're good for. This one's good for Audi, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Porsche. So this is for the import vehicles. This is the best way to do it. APM Auto, nice to have you in here. I didn't get a chance to see you. I know I've been busy with this project, so good to see you in here. But yeah, make sure that your coolant says on the bottle what it's for. Do not do the all make, all model. You can wreck an engine, and it can cost you a lot of money. So always stick to what the manufacturer recommends. That's done to protect head gaskets. All right, so I've peeled the seal. Now I want to put a lid to let the coolant in this. Okay, we lost a little more than I thought. So I've put maybe a quarter of a cup in so far, maybe. Gotta put a little bit more in. All right, that's perfect. I'm gonna bring you guys around so I can show you guys this. All right, 21 of you guys in here. Give me 3 more likes, guys. Keep me up at 50% engagement. That really does help the channel. All right, so I'm gonna bring you guys around here. This is how you tell the level in an Audi. Down in here, there's a little yellow thing. that has the max level. You fill up to that level and you stop. You don't want to go above that max. If you do, it's not a horrible thing. What's going to happen is it's going to burp out of this overflow right here, and it's just going to run on the ground. So you're just wasting coolant if you go above the max. But always make sure you keep that topped off. I checked it when it was cold, which tells me that that level will be correct even after I run it. And on these Audis, you go until it stops. Like I can't turn it by hand. I could, if I put a wrench on it, I could force it and break it, but I don't want to do that. So when you go this far, that's tight. We've already done all of our stuff for our service. So as far as this vehicle is concerned, we're pretty much done with everything on it. So guys, I am gonna put a few things away here, and then we're gonna transition over to the news, guys. And because this repair kind of got shortchanged on you guys a little bit, we're gonna go really heavy on the news today. In fact, I'll go super heavy on the news for you guys. We normally do about a 2 to 3 hour stream every Sunday at 1 p.m. guys. So just cleaning up a few last things that I got to do, and then we'll transition over. All right, everybody, it's time for the hard-hitting news. This is what you guys really want to see when it comes to knowing about what's going on in the automotive world. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. First topic, we're going to go ahead and cover the stuff on Motor Trend. Then we're going to go to the drive. Then I'm going to cover some dealer-specific stuff. Lastly, I'm going to finish off with the California garbage. So this is meant for all my California fans who are in here. No, it is at 1 p.m. Central time. 1 p.m. Central. So I live in the Midwest, so it's at Central time is when we usually kick this off. So 1 p.m. Central on Sundays, guys, is when we go live. CAPM said the coolant that we had was blue. Scrolling up to read that. Yeah, at a certain point, it does change. It's all based on the manufacturer, though. So at some point, like green used to be a very big thing for, I just see Jade just said, yeah, it's at 11 Pacific time. Yep. So, all right, I'm going to try to pay attention to questions off of this little guy. That way I can keep the stream up for you guys. It's daylight at 10 p.m. right now. Yeah. The Midwest, it doesn't set until about then too, so. All right. Guys, you know I check out Motor Trend just because of the fact, if you're ever going to get accurate information, you need to look at all sources. Don't just trust the first source you find. You want to be able to verify it among different places. This is what's so nice about a deregulated news source right now. There's so much out there that people are doing news on their own that this is allowing us to get information out where in the past we couldn't. The whole reason EVs got to where they were today is because the news sources stifled all of the other bad stuff about the EVs. They're not doing that anymore because we're able to call it out, we're able to point it out, and we're able to say, hey, this isn't right and this isn't what it is. And you guys are going to see some of that here in just a bit. So, I am not too concerned with the Lincoln Navigator versus the Jeep Wagoneer. In my mind, they're just two very overpriced EV or overpriced wagons, basically. They are more like, okay. Let me go this route. If you're looking for an SUV, oftentimes you're going to look for what's available to you. You don't want something super expensive. And out of the higher end models, you do have to pay attention because some of them have higher maintenance costs. I've got into this before. We already know Cadillac, Lincoln are test beds for other technology. That test bed is what causes a bunch of problems for the owner because they're having to take it to the dealership a lot. And this is why usually I tell people stay away from those. Also stay away from first year model vehicles. The reason for that is the first year model might have experimental stuff in it that could go bad on you. The best thing to do is buy things that are about 2 years old to 3 years old and that it's past that 1 year trial period. So when a new vehicle is released, you give it that first year, don't buy that model. The next year, you want to give it 1 more year. Why am I saying that? Because if you give it that 1 more year, you don't take the depreciation driving the vehicle off the lot. Meaning you won't lose the 15 grand to be the first one to drive it off the lot. Saving that money helps you be better prepared for any maintenance that you might have coming up on the vehicle. Plus, if you buy one that's in really good shape, you won't have to worry about that. Now, there is a caveat to that. That caveat is if it's driven in big city traffic, your brakes are still going to be fried even after 2 years. Meaning that you're probably looking at putting in brand new brake pads. This adds to maintenance cost, and it's something you have to plan for ahead of time. Also, big city driving can be very rough on tires, meaning you may be putting a set of tires and brakes onto that new car that you're buying. Even though it's not absolutely brand new, it's new to you. Here's where the advantage is. Number one, you don't eat the issues with the manufacturer putting out a first year vehicle. Number two, you don't lose the depreciation on the second year, meaning that by the time you bought it, it's already 3 years from the base model being released, that you don't have to worry about the maintenance of having problems with it. Where we're starting to see the issues is like GM, and I'm going to get to them guys in just a little bit, but let's keep scrolling with this. So this topic here, to me, this is a non-starter because I wouldn't buy a Cadillac. I wouldn't buy a Lincoln. And guess what? The Grand Wagoneer and the Grand Cherokees, again, don't buy them until they've been out for 3 years. There's a reason for that. All right, so stuff like this right here, guys, I had to stop and show you guys this topic right here. The flooded out supercar found on top of a toilet. This is news that is meant to distract you from what is really happening. Why would they put this out on top of this one right here? Because this is what they really needed to say, but they don't want everyone to see it. So this is on top, and the reason for that is they're hiding this story here. This one is a ban on the electrical codes for the home charging, the DIY EV charger installs. So what they're trying to prevent people from doing is, as you see in this picture, take a real close look there, guys, because that's what that one is right there. So what they're doing is, this box is your charger. Your cord goes right here to go down to your car. Your cord is coiled up around the charging post. Why are they not wanting you to do it this way right here? Why are they saying that's a no-go? I'll give the chat just a second, see if you guys know why. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to look back at some of the stuff here. Okay, APM says 10-speed transmissions scare me. Yeah, the reason that they're so scary right now is it's $1,000 per gear to rebuild a transmission. So if you have a 10-speed, it's going to cost you about 10 grand to rebuild it. That's why APM said that. APM also just dropped in there because they're going to cancel your homeowner's insurance. Why are they going to cancel your homeowner's insurance? I know the reason why, but let's see if the chat knows. Garage or home. Yep, it doesn't matter because it's all underneath your homeowner's policy. Why would they cancel your homeowner's insurance for a DIY EV charger setup? All right, I gave you guys a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this one for you. The reason why is they're having issues with them starting fires. If we can't charge these in our own garage and keep them warm, where we can keep the batteries from getting cold in the northern climates, what this does is makes it to where people don't want EVs.
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone, because I f***ing called it!
We have already talked about this. There's been a whole bunch of reels that I've made on EVs having fire issues. This is a prime example of why these are such a fire hazard. They don't even want you charging them in your garage. They want you to charge it out away from the house even. There will be insurance policies that say, if you charge your car within a certain feet of your home, they're not going to provide you with homeowners insurance. It's no different than flood insurance. If you live in a floodplain, they won't insure you because they know that home's going to flood. Why are they doing this? Because they know these things are going to start on fire. And they know that EV fires can't be put out normally. They normally have to burn out. That's what they don't tell you. They don't tell you is EV fires burn themselves out. They're not put out by fire departments. They burn themselves out. They burn the source out. Why is this? Because it's a metal fire. It's an electric metal fire, meaning even if you remove the electric portion of it, once that metal's hot, it will keep restarting the fire. all it needs is oxygen. The metal itself is the source of the fuel. It will keep burning that metal until the metal's consumed up. That's why EV are so dangerous. Why I said so long ago we should not have had them. And this piggybacks right into the California topic, which we're not going to start just yet. So apparently Volkswagen is wanting to do their turbo setups. And they're bringing back their turbo diesel. It's the customer. Here, give me a second, guys. Okay. Just had to let the customer know when we were going to swap vehicles. So guys, there is a new project coming. I'll drop that at the end too, right after the California garbage, but I do have something pulled up for that. So Volkswagen is trying to go back into the turbo game by bringing their turbo diesels back. The reason they're doing this is they're able to bring in a vehicle that gets really high MPG. The MPG is what is keeping the combustion engine market alive as of right now. This is something that a lot of the news sources aren't saying, is in order for us to keep that going, we need to understand what the manufacturers are doing. Some of it is regulated by our government. Some of it is regulated by, hate to say this, some of it is regulated by customer demand. And the more people demand the combustion engines, the more they're going to produce stuff like this. But they also need to meet the government regulations. So in order to meet those, they bring out engines like this in order to make that happen. Again, this is more stuff to distract you. This is all topics to distract you from really what they want to talk about. So they'll bring out topics like that. Guys, this topic here is rather frustrating.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm usually far more composed. I'm just a little bit absolutely livid.
So when I see crap like this is a scam to get people thinking about EVs. When it comes down to it, you know what? Let's get into this. When it comes to the whole Ford Lightning debate, they've started pulling the Ford Lightnings off the lot. So when they're doing shit like this, they're doing this on purpose to get you thinking about EVs again, to try to drive that EV demand. This is why I'm not 100% a fan of the Motor Trend site. But they do show you the garbage like this. So APM says your local departments are even equipped to fight EV. Maybe one town does out of a dozen. Again, we've said this. This is why the EVs are an issue. Is a lot of people are not able to handle what these vehicles are capable of doing. And there was a whole lot more that I talked about. When it comes to EVs, guys, here's the negative sides. To be fair to everyone that's here that does EV stuff, awesome. That does do EV stuff. If you're here and watching me, more than likely you're not a fan of EV. Just going to be perfectly honest with you. I've spent a lot of time in my YouTube career running EVs through the mill, which is why usually my views drop as soon as I start going after them. But at this point, I'm going to tell you guys the truth because I don't. It doesn't matter to me how many views I get based on the project. If people aren't really paying attention to what's going on to the news sources and what they're trying to do, like news articles like this, then we're all going to get taken to the cleaners. And the reason we're going to get taken to the cleaners is because they've intentionally killed off the car market. They've initially killed off the love and drive of people working on their own stuff in their own garage. They've made it harder and harder for you to do maintenance on your own vehicles. They've made it harder and harder for you to fix basic things on your car without taking it into a dealership. This is what I call sole proprietary technology, meaning that only they have the access of working on it. I've already said how many different times that I hate it when they do that crap. Because when they do that, what they're doing is they're nerfing the car community and taking the potential people that are coming into the industry that would be motivated to want to work on cars, they're now out of the market. This is the problem, is we're not restoring the community that helps us build technology for the future. Technology was built off of race cars. Let's be perfectly honest. Let's go all the way back here. How was modern cars developed? Simple. They were developed by the racetrack. They would put the cars on the track, they would drive them hard, figure out what was wrong with them, then they were put into a production model level, meaning that then they were being produced to be able to be cars. There was a switch. That switch was flipped. And when it was flipped, it went the other way around. Now they couldn't build the cars unless they were already production cars. That flip happened between the late 70s, early 80s. When that happened, it no longer was using what we learned on the track to build the cars, and it became now we put this car into production, then we make a race car out of it. We lost the innovation, we lost the love for the motorsports, and the industry has been slowly dying ever since then. And I hate to say it that way, and it's the truth. APM also says, I love driving old school vehicles. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. And that's honestly the secret to this whole trick, guys. Buying cars like this that require high levels of maintenance is not always a good thing if you're the one having to pay the bill. That's why when the question came up, would I have wanted the 3.0 with the Supercharger or the 4.2 liter V8? 4.2 liter V8 is going to have less maintenance cost. Spark plugs, coils, oil change, serpentine belt system, maybe a throttle body cleaning every about 80,000 miles. 100 for the most part. That would have been a lot easier to do maintenance on than this. This requires the whole top end of the engine to be completely stripped down, to drain that oil out of the supercharger, to re-gasket the throttle body setup, and make sure that the supercharger and its bearings are all in really good shape. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do this at 100,000. The customer's going to bring it back to me. When we do it, we're going to have to strip the whole top end of that engine down and start over. And when we start over, the only thing we're keeping is the housing for the supercharger and the casings that bolt to that main case. meaning that there's going to be a lot of guts that are going to have to get pulled apart, and all of that stuff is going to have to be redone. Again, sole proprietary technology, something I absolutely hate. All right. Keep scrolling down here, guys. Again, this one isn't really automotive news. This one here is Honda's basically trying to get into the rocket game. Some of this has to do with the country that they're located in. That's what this is. The reason that they want to do this is the country that stuff is coming from. They want to have rockets. So they're asking Honda to develop the rockets for them. All right, you know what? Stop the show. Why are rockets developed by independent companies outside of the government? Why do governments themselves not fund the rockets? Let's see if you guys know this one. Why do governments not fund building rockets? Why is it a privately owned company? Why are power plants, for the most part, privately owned? You know what? Why are the power plants privately owned? Why are those owned by governments? Giving you guys just a little bit here to chime in before I give you guys that answer. All right, so I'll give you the answer now. The reason why is these companies will spend the money to develop this stuff and turn around and sell it back to the government. Now, they've secured a government contract. That government contract then opens doors for the company to reinvest in other pet projects. So what they've invested in the rockets to develop them and make them, they turn around and sell it back to their government so that they can work on the projects they want to work on. That's how this is done. That's why we see companies, especially automotive companies, getting into the space game, into all of that. Because they're able to piggyback off of that and use government funds to play around with their pet ideas. APM funding, yep, exactly. Yep. And when it comes to reliability, yeah, I would say stuff that the government makes is not very reliable at most times, even if they were trying to do their best. And it's because of, all right. Why is it when a government makes something that it's not reliable? The government inefficiency. It's the fact that they have to go through several different bureaucrats to get one single thing approved, all the way down to even the color of whatever paint they're going to put on something. You ever try to paint a courthouse? It's a joke. They run you through the mill, and it has to go through how many different committees and boards and all that other bullshit. They can cut through all the red tape by buying this stuff from a company that doesn't have all the bureaucracy. The problem is companies are starting to become just as bad as the governments that they're selling to, meaning that they do a whole bunch of crap for the shareholders and the board members that don't necessarily benefit the company in itself. We're getting into now towards the tail end of the week here. This is stuff that came out in the beginning of the week. They dropped this one to kind of tease what's going on. We'll go ahead and go into it, guys. It's almost disgusting how much stuff on Motor Trend and the Drive is all EV related, but so they're basically trying to work with the reverse acceleration technology, where even if you don't press the brake, you don't have to do dynamic braking and the kinetic braking that they use on the EVs. They're going to basically use the slowing of the car by its own momentum to recharge the batteries. Here's the reason I gave that coin. Is this brings us a little bit closer to what I said how long ago.
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone, because I f***ing called it!
What are we going to start seeing? What are we going to start seeing when the EVs aren't necessarily being pushed anymore? What are we already seeing? Let's see if you guys can guess what it is. Maybe bigger CEO payouts. Yeah, probably. Not gonna lie about that. Yeah, that's the other problem, is that government contracts are usually sold out to the lowest bidder. But here we go. Here is what I've been talking about for the last probably 3 years. We were going to see EVs get pushed to the point that people were going to get sick of them. We were going to see the faults and failures in an EV and why they're not necessarily recommended or useful for anyone who doesn't live inside of a major city. What is that going to do? That's going to create a situation where now people are going to push the hybrids. Why are they going to push the hybrids? Because they're going to claim that it's the best of both worlds. They get the most amount of fuel mileage, but what are they going to use to charge the batteries? What are they going to use to charge the batteries? I'll read APMs here in just a bit. So what they're going to use is they're going to use the gas engines that we've been relying on for a long time to charge the batteries. Your drivetrain won't even be hooked to the engine. I called this 2 years ago. There is a lot of stuff going on right now in the Dodge camp claiming that the engines that they're going to come out with next are basically only designed to charge the battery. We're going to start seeing this become a norm. What this does is make it to where no one can work on those cars. The EV systems are going to be so heavy on them that basic maintenance, other than maintaining the engine that charges the battery, is all that you can do. They're still going to have a charging port on. They're going to have weird gas doors on a fender that tells you that they're basically still an EV. And by them working with this technology, the kinetic braking, the dynamic braking, the charging while it's slowing, that's all part of these systems that they're going to put into play. Guys, they're doing this to make a new style of vehicle. It's not a hybrid, it's not an EV, and it's not a gas vehicle. It's going to be a combination of all of them. That's what we're going to see. It's exactly what we're going to see. This?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm usually far more composed. I'm just a little bit absolutely livid.
They're trying to take a popular name of a movie series and try to make it into a musical parody. This is being done to deter people from getting into the automotive field. It's to deter people from wanting to have pride on working on their own vehicles. So I'm going to get into the Corvette ZR1X when I get to the Chevy page. APM had said, I know it wasn't the most practical vehicle, but my friend has an 80s Honda Civic. I think it had a 1.8 liter. They came with 1.6, and he also got like 60 miles to the gallon. Yeah, this is what happens when we actually work on our stuff and we start understanding the technology and how we can get better fuel mileage. The biggest thing is we have to remember the stoichiometric. Stoichiometric is 14.7 to 1. So 14.7 parts of air to 1 part of fuel. That is the stoichiometric. Ideally, you want to stay close to that as possible. So even if you have a supercharger, turbos, nitrous, it doesn't matter. You need to treat it like you are trying to keep to that stoichiometric. When you have motor issues and you blow stuff up is when that stoichiometric either goes lean or goes rich. It can do damage both ways. So you have to stay within that. That's a combustion engine. APM also says hydrogen fuel cell, though, compressed hydrogen gas. Yeah, here's the issue with that compressed hydrogen gas. You know what? Let's back this up. Okay, why are we not seeing so many hydrogen fuel cells? Other than the fact that we don't have the gas stations for them. The reason we're not seeing them is the technology has either been bought up or stifled. I wanted to cover this in the Cash for Clunkers video, which was going to be a very heavy talking video. I haven't done it yet. I'm still working on it. Again, we're also trying to build our channel. Guys, we got 13 of you guys in here. If you guys like this content, make sure you guys are hitting that like button, hit the subscribe button. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. So the reason that it's getting bought up is because it's too big of a threat to the oil and gas companies, and it's also too much of a threat to the EV companies. Because the hydrogen is actually more efficient than all of them and is less harmful to the environment. Why is that? Why is the hydrogen less harmful to the environment? Let's see who gets this. All right, so I was just checking chats, guys. And APM said, yeah, a car like that will get great fuel mileage, because that was during a time when they actually did a lot of things that were pushing the envelopes of what we were capable of doing with gas cars. You're able to do a lot more and understand a lot more when you're actually working on them. Because we're not working on them and doing things with them, that's why we have the issues that we have. JK says go back to school. Here's the thing, man. School is a waste of money. An absolute waste of money unless you know exactly what you're going to do and you need the piece of paper to do it. That's the only reason, is if you need that certificate. That's it. I have learned more from people who actually get their hands dirty and do work than people who have never touched anything, learned out of a book, and expect you to know everything. Why do you think in most repair shops, the one person that's hated the most is the service writer? Because unless the service writer has actually been a mechanic, he's not respected. Because he went to school to get his certificate. It says he can work on a car, but if he's never touched a wrench and he's telling mechanics how to do their job, that is a straight up. So when you say go back to school, you obviously don't know what you're doing. All right, so to finish that topic on the hydrogen cells. Okay, so the reason we're not seeing the hydrogen cells, technology was bought up. GM had a car that was ready to go. I mean, ready to go. They let people test drive it and everything. It was ready. They took the government buyout. Guess what they sacrificed during that government buyout? That's right. They sacrificed that hydrogen car. The government came in, said, we're going to take this. You're no longer ever going to produce these cars. And it went away. Who was in office at that time? Who was in office at that time? Let's see who gets this right. Who was in office at the time of the cash for clunkers? Giving it a little time to catch up, and I'm reading chats, guys. A little bit of stream delay, so I have about a 20-second delay on stream. APM, Mr. Obama, yeah. Mr. M is who, or Mr. O is who I'm going to have to call him. Because if I say his name too many times on stream, it's going to have a very negative effect on the stream. But Mr. O was in office at the time. Mr. O pushed for cash for clunkers. Mr. O bought stock in which dealership? In which manufacturer, I should say. Which manufacturer? Which manufacturer did he buy stock in? I want to see if anybody knows this. I'll bring this up so I'm not having to look off to the side so much anymore. Which manufacturer KPM got it. Boom. He deserves one of those for that. Yeah, he bought stock in GM. Funny, they lost the hydrogen fuel cell. He basically did a cash for clunker scam that took out the middle section of cars, not the junk cars. Why did that happen? Let's roll this all the way back. Why did they target a middle group of cars that were only maybe 5 to maybe 11 years old? Why did they go after those cars instead of going after, you guessed it, the cars that were 20 years plus? Why did they go after that section of cars? Yeah, APM, you might have been guessing, but you were right. Why did they go after the middle section of cars? Giving you guys just a little bit here to see what you guys answer. I've done my homework on this topic. I already know. I know why they went after the middle section of cars. It was a two-pronged approach when they went after those cars. All right. So they went after those cars for two reasons. The first one was to take people out of working on their own cars. At that point, those cars that would have been released, that people would be still driving today, were still easy to work on. They didn't have a lot of proprietary technology. They were easy to repair. If you noticed, every car that came after that was much harder to work on. They even locked the computers so people couldn't work on the computers, meaning that you can't program a car that has a locked computer. This was all done about the same time, all during Mr. O's term. What this did was flush out a whole bunch of people out of this industry. That was number one. Number two, they were paving the way for the EV market. They were paving that way for that market so that they could start pushing their EVs and start demanding that everyone drive these vehicles. Because by killing the love of working on cars and wanting to own cars, they were easily able to push their own theory and thoughts on what we should be driving. This is what they wanted, not what we wanted. That's exactly what that was. Scroll back down here and we'll finish out this page. Yeah, some of this is just all distraction news. This is distraction news. This is to distract you from what they're really pushing right here. That one. All right, let's switch over to, now we're going to go to the drive page. This page is a little less, they're not so heavy on EV. They do have some EV stuff, guys, but they're not super heavy on the EV stuff. But we're going to go ahead and look at this topic right here on the front page. They're saying that the trooper was going to let him go based on what we saw here. What do we see that, yeah, he has it strapped correctly, but anyone who drives truck, can you tell me what rule he's breaking here? And the state trooper should have known this. This tells me it was a trooper and not a DOT officer, because a DOT officer would have flagged him. And if you guys don't know what I do outside of this, I can tell you guys right now, I'm very familiar with the rules of DOT. Because my daily job requires me to be. What rule is he breaking? Yeah, it says right here in the article. Yeah, of course, from Arizona. Patrol decided that this crazy setup meets the minimum tie-down requirements. The rule he's breaking isn't a tie-down rule, guys. APM says too much hanging off the wheels. They're not secured to the surface. No, they said it meets the requirement for the tie-downs, meaning that it's tied down and they feel that it's secure enough not to fall off. He's over height. He is over 13.6. Because I can guarantee you this sticks up so far that if he went underneath a low clearance bridge, he would wipe out that truck. And yeah, it might be attached, but what's going to happen is it'll just completely push this vehicle off the back and destroy that tailgate. A DOT officer would have known that. So, as far as this highway patrol guy goes, he's not a DOT officer. And if he doesn't know the rules for DOT, he shouldn't be saying that this was an okay thing to do. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get a whole bunch of stupid people that are going to try this crap. So, scrolling down here, looking at some of this. Whoa. What is this garbage? What is this garbage right here? Porsche using AI to catch EV battery problems? Have we not learned our lesson about relying on computers to do everything for us? I can't believe people are this stupid. Yes, AI is a tool, but you're putting AI inside the car. Guys, what this does is make it to where EVs are going to have AI technology in it. This is one step away from self-driving cars. They're going to start using the AI technology to try to do self-driving cars. This is because people are too damn lazy. And the general population has become nothing but a bunch of... That's exactly what this is. I hope nobody buys these cars. I hope nobody touches them. Okay, guys, the reason Maserati is going to be up for sale soon is they made a bunch of bad decisions. They tried getting into stuff that they were not ready for. They put themselves in a bad situation. Allow me to explain. So, Maserati is always the higher end car, higher end sports car. They were basically known for being those kind of cars. The issue here is, though, they tried stepping into an EV market where they had no knowledge of it. They spent way too much money, and now it's hurting the company. They also tried to boost their performance in their other cars to try to make up the difference after their screw up. Maserati has been known for trying to do weird stuff with EVs and it failing on them. I just read the chat. APM said probably 18 to 20 feet tall. Yep, that's why he should have been written up for overheight. Securement was a whole is not even the issue. The overheight is, because you have to have a special permit to haul overheight. So again, this site does a lot of EV stuff here. They're trying to promote the EV Evo, Mercedes Evo. And I can guarantee you with a price tag of $800,000, ain't nobody gonna touch it. So kind of a waste of money. Yeah, there you go. Feel like spending $11.5 million to have a house with a go-kart track? Again, that was distraction news right there, guys. This, distraction news. This is, ooh, look at the shiny object. Look at the shiny object. I'm going to guess that they were distracting people from this one here. This site's a little different. Sometimes they put their distractions just below it. But each site does it a little differently, but they all do the same tricks, guys. And as we learn those tricks and I start showing you guys here, when you guys page through these news cycles, you guys will see it before I even talk about it. What did I say about EVs, guys? What did I say about EVs? I said that EVs were not what the future was going to look like. It was going to be a mix of hybrid and EV. They were going to use gas engines to charge batteries. Why are they stopping the sale of the Mustang Mach-E? Well, that part's simple. Because they're not selling. Same reason why they pulled all the Lightnings off the lots. There's Lightnings out there. Some dealers fought to keep them so that they could sell them. But they stopped pushing all of their EV projects. Why is Ford doing that? Wrong sound effect. Why is Ford pulling out of the EV market? Let's see if any of you guys know this. Why are they pulling out of the EV market? Got 12 of you guys in here. A few new viewers. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Okay, so they're pulling out of the EV market for one big reason. They realize the government is no longer going to push the EVs. This is what Jay has been waiting for me to get into for the longest time. So it's time for me to get into it for him. Because I know if Jay's here, he's going to want to know this. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. So, why are they not pushing the EVs? It's because the government doesn't want to back them. Right here. This article shows everything we need to know about why California is out of control. And we look at the cars behind here. It's funny. Really funny to me. How it's stating right here that signed an exclusive order on Monday that aims to ban the sale of internal combustion engines in the state by 2035. What did I tell you guys about when this got sent and they pushed it back to California and said they can't force this mandate. What did I say was going to happen? I told you he was going to try to do something on the side. He was going to try to push this through in a different way, and he's done it. He's used his power with executive order to force the state of California to comply to this, even if it's against the federal government. There you go, Newsom. Enjoy your sound effect. This is what happens when you let a government go out of control and do whatever they want. That's exactly what this is. He took that mandate and he just did whatever he wanted. This is the issue that we have with modern politicians today. This is the kind of thing we need to vote out. When we see these guys doing this kind of stuff and forcing regulation on us, they need to be taken out. And I don't mean out that way. I mean out of office, voted out. That somebody else needs to stand up against them, run against their party and their group, and take them down. And make sure that they're no longer in office. Because when you start forcing people to apply to that mandate and required to do it, you are pushing your own agendas. How much is he getting paid out of this? How much money is he getting from these EV companies to push this? These are the questions that need to be asked. Yeah, and I watched my views just plummet off of that one. I figured that was going to happen. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm usually far more composed. I'm just a little bit absolutely livid.
This is the kind of thing that has been slowly destroying the car industry for the last 15 years. The things I did as a kid, most kids nowadays have never even done and will never do. Most of them will never put a wrench in their hand, ever. They'll take it to a dealership that will drop the whole bottom of the car out and change out a battery, or will separate the frame from the body just to change out electrical components or service certain components that can't be serviced without pulling everything out. This is what our future looks like because we've allowed politicians like this to keep running for office, and we just blindly go like this and let it happen. Instead of saying, no, you're not taking away what we do. You're not taking away what we work for. Instead, we stand there and let them do it. I knew this topic was going to piss me off to no end. Because I knew already what was going to happen. I saw this coming 3 years ago, probably closer to 4 now. I saw this coming 4 years ago when they were going to push EVs so hard that they were literally going to cram it down everyone's throat. Started with cash for clunkers, started going downhill from there. Yeah. I'm looking at my views and that just plummeted. There, it shot back up again. If you guys are tuning in, we do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you get notified when we go live. We always start with our intro, our project for the day. We finish our project and then we get into the news. We are currently in the news cycle of this, guys. But this is why I tell people, wake up and watch the world around you. Look at what's going on and what's being forced where you're living. When you see mandates like this that tell you, you must spend $100,000 to commute in our state, that's what this garbage is. I could go all the way here if you guys want. Tell you what, here's the deal. Give me the 12 likes and I'll go all the way on this topic. I'll lean into this all the way. Give me the 12 likes and I'll go in on this all the way. I will break down why EVs are worthless, why we don't need them, and all the lies that they fed you about combustion engines. Give me the 12 likes and I'll do that. Okay. All right, we don't really have the viewers in here right now to hit 12, but yeah, I shot back up. You guys get me to 12 likes, I'm going to go all the way in on this EV garbage, and I'm going to break down the combustion engine and how everything you guys have been told is a lie. So what I'm circling here is this whole Clean Air Act crap. This Clean Air Act has been pushed by Mr. O's administration, Mr. B's administration, and the reason that the Trump administration is at odds with this, guys, they realize that EVs are not good for the environment. I want to go all in on this, but I need you guys to get me to 12 likes for me to go all the way in on it. So we're going to keep scrolling here. Okay, I'm going to switch over to going through some of our dealer sites, and I'll break down this. The answer to the people that say that this is progress, this isn't progress, this is agenda. This is people who are getting paid to push a narrative and push product. Every single one of these SUVs behind him are over $80,000. Every single one. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They would do that for a really simple reason, guys. We got 10. 2 more likes, guys, and I'm going to go all in on this topic. I'm going to hit real hard. Get me there. Get me to 12. Get me to 12, and I'm going to go all the way in on this. Two more likes, and I'm going to go all the way in on this topic, and I'm not going to hold back. And I don't care how much it censors me. I hate to hold you guys hostage for this, but our channel is built on the likes and the subscribes and the engagement in the chat. I'm not asking for super chats, not as of yet. Just to let you guys know here, going forward, maybe after next week, we're going to be pushing that if you're not a mod or a member to the channel, then in order to get your question read, you'll have to super chat. Anything over a $10 super chat, and you'll get the sound effect that goes with it. So that's coming up for the future. But get me to 12, guys. Get me to 12, and I'll go in hard on this. I'll go scorched earth on this right now if you guys get me to 12. I will explain to you how EVs are a straight up lie. I'll explain to you how the government has been lying to us about how these are good for the environment. I'll break down why combustion engines are actually not a bad thing for our environment right now. And that if we were forced to switch over, what would happen? How it would affect everything from crops to literally everything. But in order for that to happen, you guys got to get me to 12. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to click over and we're going to check out some of these websites. Guys, I highlighted this one for a reason, because this is a huge... Okay, we're looking at this right now. This whole article is started basically uncovering the truth about EVs. Guys, this is from the GM website. And I can tell you right now, this is going to be full of lies.
Oh, hell no.
Bruh. Stop the cap.
Okay. What have I been saying for years? That EVs are only meant for city driving in large cities. 270-mile range. These numbers down here.
Stop the cap.
This is only if you are running without lights, running without heat or AC, and if you're not accelerating hard. Will you even have a chance of getting close to these numbers? This one hidden in the article up here is the actual mileage range. And most people won't see this. They're telling you how much you're actually getting. They're lying to you about what you could potentially get. This is why I don't like dealing with the manufacturer and the dealer sites, because this is all done as a propaganda push. These aren't real numbers. Why do you think it says estimated? GM estimated, EPA estimated, EPA estimated. These are estimates. Notice this one doesn't have the word estimated behind it. Why is that? Because that's the real number. That's the real number of mileage you will get out of that vehicle. Oh, yeah, they got mad at me at that one. I just looked at my YouTube channel. My viewership fell way off when I said that. Yep. Yep. Here's another.
Stop the cap.
EVs can be pretty affordable. No, they're not. Because what they're not putting into that is the repair cost of replacing the battery. If they put that in there, this number is what you're going to basically spend to put that battery in that car. These are straight up lies, guys. All right, still got to get to 12 likes. I know you guys. Yeah, YouTube's smacking me on the views here. Not liking that. All right, so we're going to continue. Whoa. What's this? What the fuck is this? Okay, straight from the Ford website. They've recalled these trucks. They've pulled them back. And in many cases, they're not even selling them on their dealership anymore. But yet their front page has this. That's a Ford Lightning. That is a Ford Lightning. Front page on Ford's site. They're still pushing EVs, even though they're trying to pull them. Let's roll that back. Why are they still pushing them? That part's simple. They're pushing them because they're going to blend the two. They're going to blend it into a gas EV hybrid. The gas engine is going to be used to power their vehicles. So this is front page here. They're already advertising the gas EcoBoom, the hybrid, the electric, and the diesel. Let's just peek into the electric real quick. What kind of propaganda are they pushing in here? Wonder why it's hands-free driving. We just talked about AI, guys. But here we are at the bottom of the page. So, if this is front page, which it is, why do we see those three at the bottom? Why do we see these three at the bottom of this page, which is front page? That part's simple. These are their highest selling vehicles. This is what they're selling the most of. Notice how the Ford Ranger isn't here? It's the Mustang, the Bronco, and the F-150. These are their highest selling vehicles. They're on the front page at the bottom because this is what they sell the most of. This is how you decipher a web page. This is how you decipher companies. Is by looking at their front page. Let's go back to GM. Let's do the same thing right here on this GM site. What do we see when we start here at the top? We see them talking about their brand new hypercar. And let me explain to you, that hypercar is a joke. The reason it's a joke is because the naturally aspirated engine generates 1,080 some horsepower. The maximum horsepower output on that car is only 1,200 something, meaning it's only about 150, 175 horsepower that the EV portion is adding to that car. That is a lot of waste of resources. The only reason they're building it is so that they can claim hypercar status. Hypercar is able to do world record laps and Nuremberg. That's what this car is built for. It's not made to go on the street. It's not made for the average person. And most people wouldn't even be able to afford to look at this car, let alone get within distance to spit on it. The majority of the work being done by that car is by its motor, not by the hybrid front end drive that it has. That's what that car is. One more light, guys, and I'm going to go hard on this whole EV crap and the lies that are being told to us on the EV side and on the combustion engine. One more light, guys. I know you guys can get there. There's 15 of you guys in here now. I am not a fan of the mid-engine Corvette at all, guys. Not a fan of it. That mid-engine Corvette might be close to hypercar status, but as far as I'm concerned, the car is not practical. And when I mean not practical, you're not building a car that the average person can buy and drive. You're doing this to show off. You're doing this to build up your own image with a car that the average person will never be able to afford. For them to push this kind of car but yet kill off the Camaro. That is a huge, huge. They're complicit in it. They're taking part in killing off the motor industry. The industry which their founders did by racing. Their founders developed their company on a racetrack. That being said, they're killing off the industry that allows people to enjoy motorsports. So as we break down their page here, we're seeing, what do they sell the most? Trucks. Truck on this one. This one they want to talk about their hypercar just because it's new. And then again, more trucks. So their HD line, their 1500 line, and their Colorado. Scroll down a little farther, what are they pushing? This is probably being pushed by their shareholders because they're all pushing to get people to go back into that kind of industry. They want the industry to go EV because that's what their board holders and the government is pushing them to do. Who's on their board? Mr. O. APM made a good point here. Probably every 50K to 100K vehicle sold, they sell a Corvette. So why are they going to push the Corvette? Pushing the Corvette to be in the hypercar stats. They're doing this to compete on the world stage. And while they're competing on the world stage, they're pushing their EVs. Front page here, guys. Look, this is what they sell. This is what they promote. Guys, pay attention here. This is solid gold and solid news. Why would a company highlight all of these like this? Why would they do this? Because this is the order in which they want to sell their vehicles to the average person. They want them to buy EVs first. If they won't buy the EVs, they want to try to sell them SUVs. Finally, at the stage 3, they'll sell you a truck, maybe, but I guarantee you there'll be an EV option in there. Next category is the performance. Guys, I just clicked on it, the Stingray. 70K. 68K for a Stingray. What does that tell us? It tells us the average person that's into cars and wanting something that they can work on and do things with, they're not buying this car. This car is for the rich elite that want to drive something fancy to their balls. Meanwhile, we are the ones who are paying for it with our tax dollars. And you can't tell me these companies aren't giving kickbacks to the politicians that are passing all of the EV bills. There ain't no way you're going to prove it to me anyway either. Because I've already seen articles and I've already seen the information on how much these politicians are getting kickbacks on the EV side. Guys, one more like and I'm going to go hard into this topic. I'm holding this back until you guys get me to 12. I'm not going to go hard in on the EV and the lies that are told to us until you guys get me to 12. I need to keep the engagement up, guys. Just like I said, they're pushing this as a hypercar. They're trying to compete on a world stage, and it's all so that they can sell EVs. This is why I'm quickly not. Okay, so we just hit the 12 mark, guys. Apparently, apparently my stream is just a bit behind. Awesome, awesome. All right, guys. Stop the show. Let's rewind this. Let's start from the beginning. EVs. We know what they are. We know how they're built. Let's cover a little bit of this, guys. So, in order to get the minerals that we need for the batteries, we need to use heavy equipment and we need to strip mine the earth. Where is this good for the environment? It's not. That's your first lie right there. In fact, if it wasn't so harmful to the environment, why have they banned getting the minerals that we need right here in the US? Because they're strip mining the earth to do it. They're allowing third world countries to do it. For what reason? Because the politicians don't care. They're willing to basically fry everyone in the process. And they don't give a damn about the other countries because it's happening over there. It ain't happening here. So all of these politicians that are screaming, the environment, the environment, the environment, it ain't the environment if you're willing to let it happen somewhere else in the world. Because guess what? We get one planet. Whether we strip mine here or we strip mine there, we're still strip mining. And this is why I said EVs are a lie. Because they don't care, because it's pushing an agenda that the EV companies are giving kickbacks to our politicians to get them in place. At the same time, the politicians are passing bills that force us to buy these. This is the problem. This is the lie. And governors like Newscum are the reason this is happening. But he's not the only one. Oh, no, 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 no. He's not the only one. There's a whole bunch of them that are doing the exact same thing. And why? Because they're getting rich off of it. They're getting rich off of these lies. The cost of fuel alone to mine the materials means that an EV will never equal out its cost of its carbon footprint. This carbon footprint is what they've leaned so hard on. What the politicians are pushing for is this carbon footprint. But they don't want to tell you what the carbon footprint is to make an EV, because if they did, you would know it's triple the cost of a gas engine. Triple. Meaning it'll never meet the carbon footprint over the life of the vehicle. And if you got to replace the battery, it's 6 times that. This is why EVs are a lie. And the more we push for the battery technology, and we keep pushing the lithium and the cobalt and the platinum, we're going to keep having these problems. It's going to keep happening. Let's talk about a little topic that they're scared of. They're scared to tell you that cars like that with a combustion engine and catalytic converters that are newer than 10 years old don't create emissions. Don't create emissions. Can anyone tell me why newer cars like that won't create emissions? Meanwhile, APM says Michigan governor wants the "I'm the stupid" shirt next to New Scum. Yeah. That doesn't create emissions because of a little device that was created back in the late 70s, early 80s, and became standard on all cars very quickly. It's called the catalytic converter. And a properly working, properly sized catalytic converter, you can run that car in your garage all day and not get hurt. Why is that? Because the catalytic converter gets hot enough to burn off the one mineral that is created by a combustion engine that is harmful to humans. Can anyone tell me what that is? Can anyone tell me what the one harmful thing that comes out of combustion engines and why we would need a catalytic converter in the first place? I want to see who gets this one. My gearheads in the comment will probably get this one, but I don't think an average person tuning in to this stream today will know. You guys are doing that. I'm going to pull something up. What comes out of combustion engines that's actually harmful? Why we need catalytic converters? Aim high, got it. My producer just jumped in and saved you guys. It's carbon monoxide, not carbon dioxide. Why am I looking up plant information on an automotive channel, guys? Why? Because the lie that's been fed to us is that carbon dioxide is so bad for the planet. I'm calling bullshit right now.
Stop the cap.
Carbon dioxide ain't the problem. Carbon monoxide is the problem. The carbon monoxide is what's causing the biggest issues. But we solved that problem a long time ago with catalytic converters. Properly working catalytic converters that are less than 10 years old don't have that problem. It means you can run your car in your garage and nothing happens to you. Meanwhile, cars that were built in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, you wouldn't dare do that to, because it would gas you out. And I'm willing to bet what I was trying to look up here. Willing to bet it's not going to come up unless I do a deep enough search. Of course, they're going to give me a whole bunch of propaganda stuff.
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone, because I fucking called it!
Right here. Yeah, APM made some good comments. If you guys go in there and read that. Right here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, see if I can blow this picture up for you. Right here. What do we see right here? Photosynthesis. Guys, I know already they're going to push this stream down as hard as they can. I might even get demonetized for this. I really might. I'm hoping not, because we're really trying to build this channel. We're really trying to bring you guys solid content every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. But I can't sit here and pretend that we haven't been lied to. I can't sit here and honestly say with a clear conscience that this is okay. These lies need to be called out. What does this say right here? Carbon dioxide into the plant. The plant then produces what? What does it produce for us, audience? Oxygen. What happens if we cut a bunch of carbon dioxide out of the system we currently have? Plants are going to have a hard time growing. This isn't only trees. This is the crops that we eat. All the stuff that we grow, that we eat. If we start cutting the carbon dioxide footprint, we're going to lower the oxygen level, and plants aren't going to have enough food to put more oxygen in. This whole system is a very big circle. And when you go and pull one side of that circle out, we're all going to be screwed. I told you guys I would go hard into this. I'm showing you guys the proof that they don't want you to know. They stopped teaching this in school a long time ago. Because this goes against the narrative of everything they're saying right now, of why they need EVs, why they want to get rid of combustion engines. This is the proof that you guys need to show anyone who sits there and says EVs are better for the environment. Bullshit. This is the truth. This is what it is. Right here. I'm showing it. It's right on screen for you guys. If we cut carbon dioxide, we lower oxygen. We cut too much carbon dioxide and the plants aren't going to produce oxygen. We're going to lose oxygen in our environment. We can't cut the carbon dioxide. And by forcing everyone to go to EV, we take metric tons of carbon dioxide out of the environment. That is going to have drastic effects on our food source, on our trees, and on our oxygen that's going to be replenished back into our atmosphere. Wake up before it's too late. EVs are not the answer. And the new lie EV that they're going to try to sell you with a combustion engine that charges the battery is still going to have too low of a carbon footprint in their mind. They're going to want you to have EV only because it doesn't contain the gas engine. But if we cut this metric tons of carbon dioxide out of the environment, it's going to have a very negative impact to our planet and how things are operating right now. Right here. I don't need to go any farther to show you guys exactly what's going on. How sunlight and carbon dioxide mix to actually produce oxygen into our environment. I don't know how I can make it any more simpler than that. I really can't. This is why I knew EVs were a lie to begin with. Because their theory is if we cut this carbon dioxide out, that everything will be just fine, that this whole system will work like it's supposed to. It won't. The sunlight is only one part needed for photosynthesis. The other part is carbon dioxide. Their whole push to get rid of these and go to EVs, if you ask them, they're going to tell you, oh, there's too much carbon dioxide in the air. Not carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide. Plants make oxygen. You need oxygen. Guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe. I know for certain I'm going to have issues with this video. I'm going way too hard in showing you guys the facts. They're going I'm going to have problems. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Ring the notification bell so you get notified when I go live. We're working hard to build this channel up for you guys so I can bring you the information like this, the real truth of how this stuff works. Right here, carbon dioxide is not the problem. Carbon monoxide is the problem on gas engines. Carbon monoxide is burned off in catalytic converters, burned off completely. As long as the catalytic converters are under 10 years old. There is the caveat. If the catalytic converters are less than 10 years old, the emissions are zero. It diminishes after that. It slowly ticks down after 10 years. I just told you guys everything you need to know to defeat any of these climate activists, any of them. Show them this. I'm leaving it up on screen on purpose in case somebody decides to clip this and try to take me out of context. Nope, it's right there on screen. You can see it. So when you guys have anyone coming up to you, especially people that live in some of these more radical states, and they're pushing this stuff and screaming this at you that your gas car is so bad for the environment, if it has catalytic converters and they're less than 10 years old, it's not bad for the environment. And even if the cats are over 10 years old, it slowly clicks down every year after. Where the danger point falls is when the catalytic converter is over, let me get this right, when the catalytic converter is over 18 years old. The catalyst is used up inside the catalytic converter and it needs to be replaced. Now, that does vary with usage though. If you drive it a lot, if you're doing hard driving, that does more to chew up a catalytic converter than your daily driver. Your daily driver is good up until that 18-year mark where you're going to have to replace that catalytic converter. But to that point, if you're driving it really hard, big city driving, pushing it constantly, you might be closer to that 10-year mark where the catalytic converter is used up and it needs to be replaced. But with working catalytic converters, combustion engines are safe. They don't want to tell you that because it goes against the EV narrative. I'm glad I'm not on X right now because Elon would have me demonetized immediately. There ain't no way he would have let me show this without demonetizing me. I left it up for so long in case somebody tries to clip me because once I stop talking about this, then I'm going to bring this down. But I have to leave this up so if anyone decides to clip me, so there you guys go. We're going to go ahead and move down to talking about RAM. So first thing I see on this page is a big old... Why are we seeing Rams selling for low prices? They're telling you the year. What do we know about that? We know they don't have V8s in them right now. We know they don't have V8s until 2026. So these 2024 models that they're trying to push are the ones that they couldn't sell because they didn't have V8s. Oh yeah, they destroyed my stream. My viewer count is just decimated. I knew that was going to happen. When I go that hard into a topic, that's exactly what happens, guys. So we're scrolling down and we're looking at Ram, seeing what they offer. So my page is loading a little slow here, guys. But this is all the trucks that they're featuring on the Ram site right here. There we go. This is their page. So we're dissecting their page, showing that they're going to want to bring back the Ram Rebel. Right here, front page. We knew Stellantis was still owning this company, and that they're still going to push their EVs. Let's take a look at what propaganda they want to push off of their front page. We already know affordability is a lie based on what the batteries cost. We already know charging at home is going to be a problem. Funny how the picture that they're showing right here is in an open carport. It's not in a garage. Range and batteries. Let's take a deeper look, shall we? Travel further.
Stop the cap.
We know that 650 miles is at best case scenario. Or what was it? 690 miles.
Stop the cap.
Yeah. We know that's a lie. The only way that that could be happening is if they were using the engine to charge the battery while it was running. If they were using gas power to recharge the system. Because funny how that one was at 680. But this one here, their PowerMaster EV van, which is a straight up look at the mileage on that. 164 miles on a charge with a 50% payload. Construction worker would be stupid to buy that van. He's going to blow money, and he's not going to be able to get to and from his jobs, and he's going to be limited by how far he can take work. It'd be stupid to buy that van. Because I guarantee you the amount of time that it would take to charge this back up, he would only be able to do maybe one job, and it would have to be in the same town he lived in. So he could get the vehicle back home that night and charge it. Yeah. Dumb. All right, check out Toyota's site here. Again, front page, what are they pushing? EV. Why are they scheduling Toyota service? Why is this on their front page? It's because they've had recall issues. So they're trying to promote their techs. They're trying to make their techs look good. If they can claim they have one of the best services out of all the brands, doesn't matter if you have a recall because you got the service techs to work on it. But that doesn't work when you're no longer there and it's past what they're going to deem for you as a recall time frame. So here's what you guys need to know. Come back this way. When they issue a recall, one of two things happen. Number one, the Traffic Safety Administration gets involved. They're the ones who determine whether it's a safety-related issue. The other one is a powertrain issue. Powertrain issues come with time and mileage limitations. Meaning that if you have a bad motor, this gets right into the GM stuff, guys. And I'm talking about the 6.2s that they just put a stop sale on. It also gets into why they changed the oil and what's going to happen when that time frame runs out. So we're going to hit hard here, guys, right now. I'm giving this one to you guys for free. I'm not even asking for likes on this one, guys. What's happening? Well, when they issue a recall, everyone thinks it's a recall. I can take it in whenever I want. Wrong. If it's not safety related, there's a time frame on it. There's a mileage on it. Once you go past that time frame and that mileage, you're no longer covered under warranty. They won't fix it. So what is GM doing on their 6.2s? They're telling you to bring it in. They're putting a heavier weight oil in it. Why? They're putting a heavier weight oil in it to push that time frame farther out so that they don't have to replace all those 6.2 engines. Because if they push it past the time and you're past 150,000 miles, they don't have to cover it. And that's the secret sauce. Secret sauce is if they can push it past that time frame, they don't have to cover it. Now, who put that limitation on there? Well, it's your good old people from the government. Federal Traffic Safety Administration was the one who said it has to fit within these certain parameters. But it's not going to cover you once you go outside those parameters. Once the vehicle ages out or miles out, they're not covering it. And you're going to be stuck with the bill. You could keep a truck right now that's a 2022, well, I should say 2021 through 2024. You could keep that truck and not put any miles on it. Leave it sit for 10 years. Decide, I'm going to start driving it. Do all the stuff, just wake the truck up, get it back out, start driving it, and that motor could pop. Well, guess what? You're past the 10 years. And you're straight up. This is what we're dealing with, guys. We have to watch out for this kind of stuff. Really got to watch out for this. All right, so I think we covered all the news topics. We're going to go ahead and transition. So we're going to go into the final wrap-up of today. Okay, guys, we've seen repairs work and not work. We've seen things fail. We've seen processes that don't work. I tried this so you guys could rule this out. If you have one of these engines and you need to do that oil change, you're pulling the supercharger. You cannot get in there accurately to do this process without pulling that supercharger off and pulling the supercharger apart, which means you're putting all new gaskets and everything. It is a service that needs to be done, but we can pick and choose a better time to do that than right now when they need this car. So what we're going to do is tie it up, give it back to them, they can go ahead and use it. They don't plan on putting a bunch of miles on this, so it'll give them the time to decide when they really want to shut this down and do this big service. And this will be a big one. Pulling that supercharger is a big project. So sometimes it's better to use the side of caution. What do we have coming up next week, guys? So if you stuck around for this far, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Next week, we have a Honda Accord coming in. I believe it is a 2003 I think it's a 2003 Honda Accord. This Honda Accord is going to get a full tune-up that I'm doing here on the channel. We're going to push through and do as many processes of that tune-up as we can in one single video. It's going to be a longer video, which means my news shorts are probably going to get shortened up a bit in order to do that process. That's what's coming up for next week. Once we get that vehicle done, we're going to be bringing Crimson Vortec in and knocking out a few projects on that. Once that's done, we may make the decision on what we're doing with Malibu Steel. If we're going to keep Malibu Steel around, if we're not. There's a bunch of things going on the channel right now. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you guys aren't missing out, because we got a bunch of stuff coming up. I've got work piled up all the way out until the end of the year. So I've got enough going on that I have enough content coming that you guys are going to get a lot of stuff from here on out. I also want to thank my producer, Aim High. I now have my producer there to be able to support the channel as I'm going live. I want to thank all my mods. You guys are great. You guys help keep the chat moving. You guys are interacting with everyone, and that's what I want. I want my mods to be engaging with the average viewers, and my average viewers giving information and help feeding back so that they can maybe become bots. So that's kind of how I'm doing this for the future. Starting in the near future, guys, we are going to go to questions on Super Chats for regular viewers. So if you're just a regular viewer and you have a question, if one of my mods don't highlight it because it's important, then it won't get read unless it's done in a Super Chat. The only reason I'm doing this is to help build the channel and help build us up for the future. Guys, I would love to bring this merch to you, but we got to get to a certain point. I'm pushing to get to so many subscribers and be able to build that store. That is something that we're looking at towards the tail end of this year. So there's a lot coming up for the channel, guys. There's a lot going on. Make sure you guys are here for all the stuff we do. Again, every Sunday at 1 p.m., we go live. So, as always, guys, this was a good day. We had a lot of engagement. We did a lot of stuff with the news, and I went really hard. That fact that I went that hard might have some implications later. I'll let you guys know if I do have problems, but if not, we're going to keep pushing like we always do. So, guys, I want to say thank you for all the support. Continue hitting the like button, the subscribe button, ringing that notification bell so you get notified when I go live, which is every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. And I'll see you on the next one.